tell him none of that. Just rap. Mighty bright. All right, this is Sports for Real. Been away for a couple of days, got a lot of things going on, but that doesn't mean I've been missing out on what's going on in the sports world. If you like what I'm talking about, hit that like and subscribe button, and we move forward from there. Got about 15-20 minutes to blow, so I figured I'd come on in and talk a little bit about what I hadn't been talking about in the last couple of days. A couple of big things. You have the NCAA settled that House committee case, and now the schools are obligated to pay the players now. And we knew it was coming. I've talked about this several times in several different videos, but what's relevant here is that there's a limit that the players can get paid. Now, they're still generating more and more money, and the fact that you have a limited pool kind of cuts a lot of programs to the bone. So right now it's $20.5 million, and with that $20.5 million, that's the entire pot. And you know the big sports like football and basketball are going to eat that up. So what about the smaller sports like swimming, golf, lacrosse, badminton, bowling, whatever team you got, hockey? Schools now have to face a decision about which one of these programs they want to get rid of and which they want to promote. Now, all schools aren't very good at football, and they don't emphasize it as much as say their basketball program. And when you have a $20 million pool, what you're doing here is cutting athletes' pockets, because the NIL that they were getting, now they have to be approved through the schools, because the schools essentially, with this payout through the programs, they are taking control of the NIL. So now all the stuff that they were doing before is now limited. So while it may seem like a big gain, it's kind of a loss, because now your numbers are salary cap, so to speak. By that I mean $20 million that has to be spread out over the whole athletic program, and they're talking about it's going to go up. But if you're already making $3-4 million of NIL money, there's no guarantee you're going to be able to make that moving forward with this new settlement. Chassie Freeman says hi. How you doing, Chassie? So there's a lot of questions that have to be answered, and with that, they're going to go in different directions to try to figure out what's next. But on the bright side, you have some athletes that have taken advantage of the way things are before the House case took effect, which is going to take effect July 1st. Case in point, the softball pitcher from Texas Tech, Kennedy, I can't remember her first name, she left Stanford to sign a $1 million deal with Texas Tech. And she pitched so good, got them all the way to the championship game, and they give her another $1 million deal. All that took effect before the deadline. So now she's going to get that money, plus she's going to get whatever the school is going to have to pay her, and anything else that she might be able to get. JC, what's going on, man? Gilhan 456 said hello. How you been doing? Yeah, I've been MIA. I had a couple fires I had to put out, so I'm going to be a little bit more regular from this point on. But it's nice to be missed, I suppose. But I'm talking about this NCAA House deal and how that's going to affect college sports. What it does is it effectively limits opportunities. You take a guy like myself who was a walk-on, trying to play college football, those opportunities aren't going to be there anymore. You're going to have to be an exclusive walk-on at this point. And that's just simply saying that you really don't have a chance anymore, because if you say you have a roster limit at Ohio State of 120 players, well, you might have had 30, 40 guys in the pipeline, they're not going to be there anymore because you can't pay them. So those same 30, 40 guys that were good enough to walk on at Ohio State might be starters on the D1, the 1AA level, the bowl, the championship series level. and that's going to push the guys that were walk-ons on that level down to Division II, and so on and so forth. So you're going to have to be really dedicated and have a serious opportunity to even get a chance to play. And that's not going to be a good thing for a lot of players. So the good thing about it, though, if you're not sure if you can make it, and a lot of times guys that walk on, they're wasting their time is what they're doing. They play a valuable role, but in the end, you're expendable. If you don't show up to practice, they get rid of you because they already got somebody in line waiting to take your place. The schools won't have that luxury anymore, but the guys that were going to be pushed aside anyway, it just saved them some time that they can go and do something else. So in a sense, I guess that's a good thing. But what it means, the programs are going to get better overall because now you're going to have the best of the best players and not having stragglers hanging around just dragging down the program numbers. I wish you can do something like that in professional sports where you can subtract some of the teams that they have because the quality of play goes down the more you start to add teams. And a lot of these guys in the NBA, if you had, say, 25 teams, a lot of them wouldn't be there. And I look at it like, Young Goat, how you doing, man? I look at it as a great opportunity due to expansion. But, if you look at the Pacers, I told you guys 2 weeks ago, they don't have the consistency to win the championship. Look at Halliburton. He come out and hit the game-winning shot, and he pretty much struggled all game, and they stole it in the end. And then in game 2, they come out and play the same way. They never get the same production from the key players. And unless your core group of players can be consistent, there's no possible way that you can win a championship. And OKC, they blew their first game, but I don't see them losing another game. Now, Indiana's going to come out red hot tomorrow because the crowd's going to be pushing them. But if you got to have the crowd to push you, then you're not a championship caliber team as far as I'm concerned. I don't have respect for a team that can't play on the road. You stole one, but can you hold serve against that great team once the crowd starts sitting on their hands? But the other thing, Aaron Rodgers, he's beating around the bush and beating around the bush. Pittsburgh seemed to be held hostage by Rodgers, but I think there was some kind of inside agreement when he made that visit a couple months ago that he was going to actually be the quarterback. He's been seen working with DK Metcalf and having some contact with the Steelers organization, so it was just a matter of time of when he was going to come into camp. Now, being his age, I think the Steelers say, well, you can go ahead and skip the OTAs and this minor stuff that's not mandatory and come on in when it counts the most. And I think that's what the plan was the whole time. But, this guy here, he's not 100% bought in, and I can understand where he's coming from because I got a lot of things going myself, and I don't want to be tied down to the practice field. This is the reason why I hadn't been coaching football myself. They're trying to get me out there, and I'll probably end up going out there this year, but, I really don't want to restrict some of the other things that I could be doing by being tied down to the practice field. I don't want to get too far into the way high school sports are going right now, but just the point being made that Aaron Rodgers, he has all these trips and things that he wants to do, and he wants to do it how he wants to do it, and he's just going to be a prick about it. And you can see from the outside he's been a prick to the Steelers, but evidently the Steelers must have known what the plan was all along, and now he's in as a member of the team. Now the question is, how is he going to be accepted by his teammates? They made comments before, and they say, well, if he's coming, we might well come on so we can get some work in and start getting ready for the season. So he's going to have to do something special to win that group of players over, and I think with his experience, he should be able to do that. But some of them still going to be looking at him sideways, like here we are trying to advance. We got a tough schedule. Baltimore is going to be tough. Cincinnati is always tough with that offense. Cleveland, you don't know what they're going to do. And then you got the other AFC contenders to deal with. So Pittsburgh don't have time to waste fooling around with Aaron Rodgers. But my understanding is, after they couldn't get Matthew Stafford They tried to sign Justin Fields, which is a surprise to me. I thought they just let Justin Fields go because they didn't want him. And the other thing was Kirk Cousins. So the decision was, let's go ahead and get the best of what's out there. And they consider Rodgers, even at his advanced age, a more elite quarterback than what you would get from a Kirk Cousins or anybody else. So if it works, great. If it don't work, hey, we took a shot. And I think that's Pittsburgh's approach to the whole thing. Young GOAT, Aaron Rodgers, this is his last dance. And it would be great if he can put together a last dance type performance and take his team to the championship and ride off into the sunset like John Elway, win the championship and don't come back no more. All right, Pittsburgh was desperate to go after Rodgers. Should have kept. Well, they tried to keep Justin Fields, JC, but he opted to go somewhere else and be his own man. I guess he felt like they must have mistreated him while he was there. That's why he wouldn't kind of, he wouldn't want to go back and go through the same situation. Why not go somewhere fresh where somebody seems to want you, want to have you there, and make a little extra money to go along with it. You're right, young GOAT, it's championship or bust, but it's always like that with Pittsburgh. Now, they're giving Tomlin a lot of credit for not having a losing season, but at the same time, they don't want to roast him for not advancing in the playoffs. Now, I tend to think that Tomlin is on a hot seat. If we don't advance into the playoffs, I think it might be time to look in another direction. Then you take this leap of faith with Aaron Rodgers, and if that doesn't work out, or you don't make the playoffs, that's not going to make Tomlin look too good. Now, if they were to get rid of him, it wouldn't be long before he found another spot, so that's not the problem at all. But I still think that he needs to do some different things if he wants to update or modernize in what's going on in the NFL today. And I started wondering about him sometimes. I thought they had Baltimore figured out. I mean, Baltimore, I know, what's his name? Quarterback, Lamar. He's throwing the ball better now, but at the same time, the formula is still the same as far as I'm concerned. You have to stop that run between the tackles. Then after you stop that, he's going to try to bounce it outside. You corral that, and then you make him into a drop back passer full time. When you have to drop back and throw full time, if you're not a pure passer, you got a problem. If you are a running quarterback and you are a threat and you are getting running yards, now the defense, they kind of in limbo. They don't quite know how to attack that. So what you have to do is kind of play a neutral position, which makes it better for a non-throwing quarterback, because when you go to play action, people are going to be wide open, and there's a lot of throwing lanes there. And it's almost like putting a blindfold on and you're just throwing it into a barrel. You're going to hit something, and that's what the Ravens look like to me a lot of times. But if you make him stand back there and have to throw, then the Ravens got a problem, and that's been their problem all along. He's got to stand in there and throw it. Now, I gave him hell because I didn't think he could stand in there and throw it when he had to take a team down to score. Now, they did that in the playoff game against Buffalo, and then they threw a little out pass to Andrews, and Andrews just happened to drop it. I mean, it's not his fault he put it there. But Baltimore's a funny beast. Over the years, he's made some horrible throws that the receivers made some great catches on, and pretty much made him look good in the situation. But when times he's thrown the ball well, they drop it. And the Andrews situation was a perfect situation to cap off what I'm talking about. So if he continues to get better throwing the ball, Pittsburgh still has to focus on stopping that run. And I thought that they would have adjusted to Baltimore, knowing that they had the wars over the years, that they would know how to play Baltimore better than anybody else. But they played in the playoff games like they'd never seen the Ravens before, and I couldn't understand that. And if this guy here is the greatest coach in the world, why do I know that and he don't? He's making millions of dollars. I'm not making anything. All right, let's see what's going on here. Break Forever says Aaron Rodgers, championship or bust. All right, like Peyton Manning 2016, end his career with a bang. Yeah, you're right. I thought that I remember Elway did it, and yeah, Manning did win the championship and retire. There was no reason to come back after that. How many more chances do you give Lamar Jackson if he keep coming up short in the postseason? Well, they seem to think all the pundits say that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's still under 30, so he's got he's got time. But the question is, how long is Derrick Henry going to play? He's from this area, Jacksonville, and I actually coached against him my first year when he was in the 10th grade. And I know for a fact if that team ran 50 plays, he got 40 carries. And that went on for 4 years. And the more he got into the junior and senior year, they started giving him more and more carries. So he was averaging about 50 carries, 45 carries a game by the time he got to be a senior. He got over 4,000 yards this last year. Then you see what he did in Alabama, and now you see what he's doing with the pros. My concern about Henry is the Sean Alexander effect. If you remember him with Seattle, the man was running the air out the ball, and all of a sudden he woke up, he couldn't do it no more. And I wonder if that's going to happen to Henry. I'd like to see him get out before it does, but just one day Alexander woke up and just couldn't do it no more. And it's because of all the pounding. But to answer your question, young goat, as long as he has somebody that can run the football, you don't have to be as good as Henry. And if he continues on throwing the ball better like he's doing, he's got a good chance. But I would say this window with Baltimore in the next 2 years, if they don't come through in the next 2 years, then I think Baltimore need to look at a different direction because I don't want to put the Chris Paul tag on him. I never saw Chris Paul as a player that can lead you to a championship. I don't want to quite hang that label on him because he can win a championship 2 or 3 times before he retires, and it wouldn't make me look so good. But I don't see it happening. He's going to have to stand in there and throw it at some point. But one thing that helped him out, it makes him look even better now with the Eagles quarterback, Hurts, taking them to the championship, that running quarterback style. That's going to be more and more of the type you're going to see moving forward. And if they can continue mastering what they do, then he's going to have an increased chance as he moves forward. But that tush push, they went to the vote to try to outlaw it. Like I told you, at some point, somebody's going to grab that quarterback by the throat on the bottom of the pile, and that's going to be the end of that tush push, at least from the quarterback standpoint. And running quarterbacks, one of these days, Jackson's going to come around the corner. He's going to spin off one guy and spin right into a headache, and they're going to have to come get him. So all these quarterbacks run. They're going to get a big hit one of these days, and that's going to change the idea about how teams approach the quarterback. Because you're going to pay these guys $50, $60 million, you don't want to see him getting his head taken off, and that's what's going to happen to him if he keep coming through there. Just like running backs that run high. Okay, keep on running high. Somebody's going to put a helmet right in your chest, and you're going to have to come get them. And that's what's going to happen to these quarterbacks, and more they keep running. You can try to legislate contact out of the game as much as you want, but somebody's going to hit you, and then they're going to fall on you to boot, and that's when they're going to stop the game and say, come on and get him. And that's the way it works. All right, like Peyton Manning, all right, how many more chances? All right, let's see what the vote is. All right, I said, do the Pacers still have a chance? Most of you say no. I never gave the Pacers that much of a chance. I felt like if they got blown out in the first game, then they were going to be swept. They were on the verge of being blown out, but I think the rest that Oklahoma City had from sitting around for a whole week affected them. They only shot 38% that first game, and that allowed a team like Indiana with a bunch of heart to come back and for an opportunity to steal. But I also told you guys 2 weeks ago, when you're a team that upsets their way through a bracket and you find yourself in a championship, one or two things are going to happen. You're either going to continue upsetting your way through, or it's going to strike midnight and you're going to be exposed in front of everybody as somebody that's not really championship worthy. Indiana's got a lot of heart. They got a lot of upside, a lot of potential heading toward the future. But what they don't have is consistency from their core group of players. Here, Halliburton getting all this credit for making these shots, and he's done well. But he disappears an awful lot. It's just like these guys in the regular season, they come out and they score 45 points. Then the next game they score 10. And the next game after that, 8. 5. Then you strike up and you get 16. Okay, what's the real number? Are you a 45 point a game, or are you really 9 points? Which one is it? If I'm a coach, I need to know what I can bank on. I need to know I can get 10 points. You take OKC, this guy here, Alexander, he's scoring 33, 34 points a game. And I look at that, I wonder how long is that sustainable. But evidently, he's getting his 30 points no matter what you do to him. That's the kind of consistency you need. It don't have to be 30 points. It could be 14.5 rebounds. If that's what you're giving me every night, I know I can count on that. But with Halliburton or Siakam, and then Nimrod, and that's Nimhard if you don't know what I'm talking about, and then Bumbley Boo, which is Neesmith, you don't know what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. But, that's not good if you want to be a champion. Championship teams, you can put your finger on, this is what I'm going to get from this guy. Alexander's going to get 30 points. Now, what else are they going to do to knock our heads off? That's what a championship team does, not what Indiana's doing. So everything that they're doing really is backing up what I told you guys before. Young Goat said the reason why I can't really give OKC the full edge despite them being a better team is that a lot of these players are first-time players. Man, look here, man, that don't mean nothing. At some point, you got to be a first-timer on the big stage. And I give you a reference. I don't like the Cowboys. Only reason if I ever like the Cowboys is when they're losing, because I want to cheer for them to get good so I can not like them again. That's the way I feel about Dallas. But when they first made the Super Bowl 27 with Emmitt Smith and all of them, back then they make a big deal about the media day, which is on a Tuesday, I believe, or Super Bowl week, and they talk about how hard it is and how big it is and all of that, like it was some great thing that they had to overcome. Well, after that first one, Emmitt Smith, I think he was the one to say, "Is this it?" Like you tell us this big thing, but then when they go down, it ain't nothing. That was their first time. And what did they do? They ran off Buffalo. Buffalo couldn't hold on to the ball, and it made it worse. So just because you're a first time in the finals, that don't mean anything. I mean, it's got to be a first time for something. And it's not a given, or the idea used to be where you had to have some experience to do well, but that's not the case anymore. A lot of people think they're the greatest thing on sliced earth because they got a master's degree. And they can do certain things, but hell, you got 9, 10-year-old kids can put better products out there than they can. So, all right. Like Chet had only 6 points, so yeah, he didn't do nothing, man. But Chet's gonna be all right. It's kind of hard to stop that dude, 7-footers out there shooting 3-pointers, man. That's rough. I think they're gonna run them off in the end. If they come in and knock them off by 10 or so points to tomorrow night and go up 2-1. Then I think the game 4, if they're down at halftime, then they'll just fold the tent. So it's not a good look for Indiana right now. All right, let's switch up a little bit. Corey B, not Corey B, but MMA says, my girl left me. What should I do? Well, I tell you what I used to do when I was out there. I'm not a drinker, so what I would do, I would go get me a bottle of champagne every time I met me somebody new. And you know what I did? I took that bottle of champagne and I stuck it in the back of the refrigerator. So when you're going through a situation like you're going through, she left you, I pop that bottle open and I celebrate because she left me. What am I celebrating? Because it gives somebody else a chance to get at me that likes me. Evidently, this person don't want to be with you, so why waste your time crying over her? Get rid of her. That's what I say. So you want an answer? I gave you one. I always celebrate. So I drink many bottles of champagne, and I'm not even a drinker. But I want to celebrate before I sit there and cry over somebody leaving me. And I don't care if it was the Queen of England, Beyonce, any of them. I'm celebrating. All right, let's check this poll vote again. Do the Pacers have a chance? Some of you say yes. I'm starting to worry about the Pacers. It don't look too good for them. But they should be all right. At least for the NBA's sake, they want to try to stretch it to 6 games. At least the NBA can get some money out of that. How money hungry they are. With the salaries they pay, yeah, they need it. All right, so just to recap. All right, I'm going to try your strategy out. Well, look, man, don't worry about these women, man. These women are going to do what they're going to do. And you'll be a fool to go off the deep end about it. Because say you do something to the dude and you go into jail. And guess what she going to do? She going to get somebody else. So forget about her. Go get you a bottle of champagne. And if you don't drink, go get you a 2-liter Coke. And celebrate that way. That's what I do. So that's my feelings about it. But anyway, I appreciate you guys checking me out, man. I got to get up out of here. I got a couple of running around to do. Apologize for being off for the last 3 days, but I'm going to be more regular from this point on. My schedule changed. I'm out of school right now, so I'm not restricted so much by time anymore. So that's been up with me. But anyway, Aaron Rodgers, I think he's going to do well with Pittsburgh, and NCAA going to have a different look moving forward. It's an advantage to some athletes. It's going to hurt those on the edge, and those other programs, depending on what school you are, you might just find your favorite program getting cut, and that's all because of the salary cap, if you will. And even though schools are allocating these $20 million, they're still making much more than that. So if they're making $20 million that they have to pay the athletes, that's just money that comes from the president's bonus. And that's before all this extra money start pouring in. So don't cry for these universities because they're still printing money in the back room. So the players are getting a little bit more. They should be getting more than that $20 million. They shouldn't have to cut any programs. But you know what was happening. But I will tell you this, and I'll leave you with this. You know, the former Pac-12 members, Stanford and California, they're in the ACC now. What incentive is it for these schools to be traveling so far across country consistently when the money is being restricted? So that's a good sign that, to me, those two schools are going to eventually come back to the Pac-12. And it won't form like it used to be, but the Pac-12 will rise again. That's just my opinion on that. All right. Yeah, Corey, they're going to run him off the court. I'm all right. Young GOAT, appreciate it, man. You guys have a great day, man. I catch you guys out in the morning. This has been Sports for Real. Please like and subscribe and hit me up later, man. I'm out. Somebody better call Baltimore, man. Let them know if they don't already know.